You fill your mouth with words and words. You twist them well. Oh yes, I heard. Shits and ties don't cover your life. I see you come. You try. You know me, you say we get the same society. Oh, you know me, you say we get the same philosophy. Oh, you know me, you say we get the same society. Oh, you know me, you say we get the same philosophy.
Hello and thanks for joining us. It is the Baroness. If you are just watching for the first time, it is the Baroness, and as well always we bring you something that will really get you excited. Not as if we are just entertaining, but excited about life, about what you need to do and what you need to key in to make life better for you. My name is Bayinwa Nyam, and today I'm not alone, even though we're only two. It's okay. I got me Anita here.
Yeah, well, two is better than one.
They say.
It's good to have you join us today on the Baroness, and we are promising you an awesome time. So all you need to do is keep your dial right here. You'll be better informed than you are already. We are assuring you of that one.
You know, the last episode we brought you the rector of the Plateau State Polytechnic, Dr. Chirman, in the studio, and he was talking about the Polytechnic. How much do you know about the Polytechnic education? Do you think the Polytechnic education is for those who did not score high in their JAMB and didn't probably get distinctions in their WAEC? You are wrong, completely wrong. He corrected that notion. Polytechnics are supposed to be where the brains are. Those who make realities, they don't just read. Technically inclined people, those who use their hands. But interestingly, you know what my take home, Anita, that day was the fact that the Polytechnic is being transformed presently through the help of the Executive Governor of Plateau State, Barrister Caleb Manasseh Mutfang. So many things that have been injected into the institution is the fact that no person who graduates from the Plateau State Polytechnic leaves the institution without a trade. No matter the course you're reading, you have something to live on before you now move to, let's say, the so-called profession that you study. So it's quite interesting that you could read business admin, but you will leave the institution being a very good barber because you were taught a skill a life skill that will keep you going. So you don't come out of the Polytechnic empty-handed looking for white-collar job. No, you come out equipped and ready to survive this particular life that we're in. I mean, it was quite heartwarming to know.
And for me, I think I was excited when the rector informed us that the students are very practical and they're doing a lot of things. In fact, he said they have a unit that has been able to manufacture solar panels.
Yes.
And they have lit the school, and they are seeking for permission to even go ahead and install traffic lights. Traffic light at the school gate on the road. And it is a good initiative when we know that we have students who are not just studying but are producing things that are being used in the markets. And with time, I think Plateau State will become a hub for investors.
Yes, with their innovation.
And we'll become good producers of gadgets, equipments, because the students at the Polytechnic are better trained. So we left parents with this food for thought. Send your children to the Polytechnic, especially those children that tinker with a lot of things. Yeah, that is where their tinkering would be put to good use and they'll become more productive and you'll be able to harness their skills and make them better people in society. So don't run away from the Polytechnics. They are very, very useful in our society today.
Yeah, you may think that you already know what the present government is doing, led by the time is now captain His Excellency Barrister Caleb Manasseh Mutfwang. You probably may think you know, because you're seeing the buses, right? At least if you have not seen anything, you've seen the buses.
And you've heard the trains.
Yeah, not only heard, I've seen, because yesterday, Anita, interestingly, I was so excited. I saw the train moving because we had stopped, you know, to do something. We were about to cross, but we stopped to do something just by the train at Bukuru Expressway.
Okay.
And we saw it pass.
Oh, you saw it. I rode on the train.
Oh, you did?
Yes, I did. I took my children. It was an exciting ride, you know. It was beautiful. And the best part of it is it didn't take long. You know, we were in one of the cabins with some people, and they were like, you know what? I think I will ditch the bus and just be using this train. You know, it is faster. It took us about 20 minutes. Yeah, 20 minutes, 25 minutes roughly, because we left the main station at Terminus at 4:20, and we got to Bukuru at about 4:50. We got there before 5.
I think I'll agree with that.
And the was, I would rather
you know, for the buses, he has to stop at
everywhere.
Every bus stop. So
you know, but the
train takes a lot of time.
One smooth ride, 200 naira. He was doing his math, and he said, with 500 naira, I'll go to Bukuru, do my business, go back to town, and I'm good. You know, and it's one of the few things that we know about.
That is the transport sector. That's the transportation sector. And we have so many sectors that this present government has touched. And there are a lot of activities going on to better our lives. And who else will talk about this? We have a personality in the studio who will do justice to letting us in on the activities of this present administration the last 2 years. Would you not want to hear that? Well, let's introduce our guest, and Anita will do that.
Our guest is an awesome personality. I say an awesome personality because she has been able to carve a niche for herself in the sands of time, especially on the Plateau. And she was a one-time Deputy Speaker of the Plateau State House of Assembly. And she is now the Honorable Commissioner for Information and Communication. We're talking about Right Honorable Joyce Ramnap. And she is here with us to give us more information on what the government of the day is doing and what they have done, what the government is doing, and what the government plans to do to better the lives of not just Plateau indigents or citizens, but everybody that resides on the Plateau, irrespective of tribe, irrespective of religion. You know, as long as you live here in Plateau State, you stand to benefit something from this administration. You're welcome to the Baroness, ma'am.
Thank you very much, and then good morning to the viewers on the Plateau.
You know, recently I just watched the governor, you know, supervising or trying to see the wheat farm, high-tech farm. I didn't know something like that was going on. I didn't know that we had like a demo farm, but was large, was big, more than a demo. And in terms, a lot of sectors of the economy in Plateau State have been receiving transformation on account of the activities of the present administration. So what will you let us in on some of the things that, because somebody could be watching, like we are always careful to say so, because we know Plateau experiences influx of people on a daily basis, coming in for one thing or the other. Somebody could be watching us for the first time. So what are some of these activities that the governor has done for the past 2 years?
Thank you very much. And before I start, let me just say I was all smiley when you were talking of your experiences on the bus and the train and all of that. I always like to hear other people tell the Plateau experience that they have been able to acquire with the 2 years of the leadership of Barrister Caleb Manasseh Mutfwang. So, Anita, thank you very much for that experience, and you have shared it so well with the people of Plateau State. I'm sure it will go a long way to also explain the much that this administration has been able to do in the past 2 years. Well, thank you very much, the good people of Plateau State, for believing in the leadership of Barrister Caleb Manasseh Mutfwang. I'm taking it from the perspective where you brought it in from. Supposing I'm talking with somebody who has not had a feel of what this administration has been able to achieved so far. Barrister Caleb Manasseh Mutfwang came in with a mandate, and in the 2 days after he was elected as governor of Plateau State, back to back his constituency was attacked, and he had a bad takeoff to start with, but he was resolute on his mandate to be able to deliver to the good people of Plateau State. Now, the government was able to streamline the strides that we want to take on into 3 thrusts: to bring in economic rebirth, to have infrastructural development, and to give good governance, peace, and security for the people of Plateau State. And so everything we do is tied around these 3, as we are 3 here in this studio. Okay, so it's tied on those thrusts that he has been able to look at. Now, one thing that is very sensitive for us as people on the Plateau and as a government on the Plateau is the issues around security. So what did we do as an administration? We set in motion a committee that will look into the issues that have been affecting our people, and then we looked at short-term, mid-term, and then of course the long-term measures as ways to deal with the security challenges on the Plateau. As short-term measures, we looked at the areas that have been attacked over time. Mostly it's the hard-to-reach communities. Sometimes they go to attack those areas, being that before response will come, they would have done much havoc. And so the administration, the government got motorcycles, the rugged motorcycles, to be able to support whatever the security operatives are going to be using as a measure to tackle that. Now, we also developed our own command center, which we invested hugely on getting modern technologies with drones, with surveillance, and all of that as a measure to be able to man our borders, so that when these people are coming in, the criminals are coming in, they could be spotted and then they could be repelled and all of that. But of course, you know, the way the security architecture is getting more advanced, it becomes more difficult. They don't go through that regular route. They'd rather go at night and all of that. And I also know that sometimes we also have, our borders have very, very vast land, like she mentioned, from Kwampan. You know, we have the Pandam Game Reserve, which is a vast land, but now we are putting it to use. And then we have another one, our grazing reserve around Wasi, which is another border area for Taraba, coming in from Langtang South, Wasi and Kanam. That area borders around Taraba axis, and of course coming in from Jos East all the way down again, it borders Bauchi. So that's the kind of network that we have to deal with in Plateau. So besides getting those surveillances, we now look at the social effect of this displacement of our people, how people are displaced from their ancestral homes, and how they have suffered losses. We set up a committee to look into those people that have been displaced. How can they be resettled back in their ancestral homes, and those who have lost their properties and all of that, how can also they be engaged again meaningfully to start life again, as another measure to deal with the effect of the incessant attacks. Now, that is why we set up an interreligious committee that is made up of different various religious sects, and of course across ethnic groups and all of that, as a measure to be able to deal with the issues around settling people. So they would also interface with the people, build trust among the people, close the gaps, and then in turn return the advice to the government on what best measures can be taken. Now, then there is the need to again have a long-term measure, and this is why we revitalized Operation Rainbow. On coming in, we revitalized Operation Rainbow. We also employed more staff and trained them to be able to take care of the challenges that is eminent for us. We understand the challenges around having security operatives who come from different areas to be able to take care of the challenges. Say you bring a security operative from say Abia State, he may not understand the language in Kwampan. They don't seem to know how it is to engage the people. They don't know the terrain and all of that. And so we felt that our Operation Rainbow will function efficiently in dealing with that. And this is why, as a government, we're calling for state policing. A lot of people have misinterpreted the concept of state policing. So I will leave that for because that will take us a long time to be able to put it through. But this is the reason that we feel that state policing would just be the solution for the challenges that we're having. Now, coming to the economic development of our people on the plateau. What can we do as a government to be able to take us from the basic, say, civil service state that most times people have known us to be, to function more effectively, and then to build our economy, to make sure that our people are being able to develop themselves economically. And this is why the government identified tourism as one sector, agriculture as another sector, and of course to get investments to come into the state. So if you were to look at tourism, and mind you, December, the month of December has already been identified as our month of tourism on the plateau. And to get that started, we also got investors to come into Plateau State. One thing that I always say is that the integrity, the capacity of the leader is at stake when you want investors to come into a state or a nation, because no investor wants to take his resources and put where he will not recoup whatever he's bringing into the state. Okay, and that is why the integrity of our administration is put to test. Okay, what policies do you have on ground that can protect whatever we're bringing into the state? What enabling environment are you creating for us to be able to function or to do well in business? And to say the least, we have gotten quite a number of investors that have shown interest, and those that are already coming into the state to invest on the plateau. Okay. Recently, you're aware that we have an 8 billion investment in. Did I say million? Billion, right? Yeah. Yes. Okay, 8 billion investment on our hill station. That we're giving them a timeline to ensure that by December they must have some rooms to take off, so that our people can use that as part of the tourism activities that will be on the plateau. You know, Plateau is attracting a lot of opportunities now, that sometimes you go and there are no enough hotels on the plateau anymore. So again, we got another investor who has also invested in what do you call it, Plateau Hotel, as also to build on that strength. Now, we also had been, you talked about the transport sector, I'll leave that as it is, but I will talk on the air travel. You know, for every, say, investors, there are certain indices they look out for. For a business, a serious businessman, he doesn't want to be tied down in a place. You come in today and you will not be able to fly out till after 3 days. No, tomorrow is even better. There are states, before now, we used to have only 3 flights or 2 flights on the plateau in a week. But the government also facilitated the working relationship and also supported the logistics of 2 airlines to be able to fly every single day. So 7 days a week we have flights out of, on Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays we have Value Jet coming in from Abuja to Jos to Lagos. And then Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays and Sundays we have Arik also doing same. So every single day of the week now we have investors. They can come in, businessmen can fly in and fly out as a way to ease ways of doing business. And then tying that to the availability of land, because those are some of those things that people look out to. Our Ministry of Lands and Survey have also given, do I call that rebate now? Like sort of an incentive to reduce the cost of documentation, registrations, and getting available papers for you. So if you're a business person, you should be able to have access to land at at cheaper rates from now till December. That offer will end in December. Anyway. And so it is also for our own people too, not just for. No, that's why I'm saying it's also for our people. Okay. So everyone can take advantage of this opportunity to also revalidate and then also get your papers ready. I like to say that one thing we notice is that our people on the average, we are not high risk takers, not just taking risks, but in the positive sense now, to be more adventurous in doing businesses. Yeah. And one of the criteria, for instance, if you want a bank loan from Bank of Industry or any bank, what they look for as a collateral is your C of O. And most people, including my own humble self, I used to be like that. So I lived in a house for over how many years without having a C of O to it. So this has been the mentality of our people. So this also gives our people the opportunity to go and do the certifications for their properties. So if there's any opportunity that avails itself and there's a need for a collateral, this would also be an opportunity for you to also benefit. Now, that I have said in terms of being able to build on investors, businesses, big and small scales of businesses, and then creating opportunities for businesses. Agriculture. This administration intends to take the agriculture in Plateau beyond just feeding Plateau people to an agro-business. Now, how do we do that? We looked at the sector on how to, again, give access to the people. So we did a data mapping of farmers on the plateau, captured them on data, and we sent randomly on those data, we send messages to you, say, okay, you are a farmer in Barkin Ladi, you're a farmer in Fursu, or you're a farmer in this. You can go to the nearest station where you can get access to 2 bags of fertilizer at a subsidized rate. Now, this would encourage farmers. It will also cut off all those middlemen, and they are taking advantage of our local farmers. And I was so glad that on one of my appearances on a radio station, somebody called. He said, I can't remember, is that Dixon? He called from Barkin Ladi. He said, look, he's not even an indigenous of Plateau State, but he's a farmer on the plateau. Coincidentally, he has his farm somewhere else. His wife has her own farm in another different location. While he got the same text to get his 2 bags of fertilizer, his wife equally got hers on her own farm. They didn't even have to campaign for it, and they got 4 bags of fertilizer at half the price. And that, for an average farmer, it will go a long way to be able to take care of that. There's so much that this administration is doing on the agricultural scene. And we also have been able to cultivate about 900 hectares of those people who were displaced and they left their farmlands. So the government is trying to cultivate those areas, and after cultivating it, you share the proceeds of it with the people who are being displaced and then they left their areas. Because the idea is to create scarcity or hunger for these people and then reduce them to nothing. So instead of leaving those areas, this program is supposed to help them to get back on their feet as a measure to be able to cope the economic downturn that it will be on the people that are living in these areas.
Okay, I think before you go to other sectors, because the sectors are many.
I'll still on the agricultural sector.
That agri, I don't want you to leave it because it affects when you talk about agri on the plateau, everybody's ears will just widen because we are becoming interested in agri as a people. We are getting interested in farming a lot. That I know, especially from last year to this year, a lot of people forget this thing they talk about. The civil service is not just true, because the percentage of the people who work in the civil service are so insignificant number to qualify the whole state as a civil service state. So we are aggressive farmers. I mean, I would like to say so.
And I hope you are one.
Because civil servants are not resting on their oars either, because everybody is plowing all the small fallow grounds they have abandoned, and everybody's doing one thing or the other. But one thing, it's been the challenge. The federal government has done her thing, and we're seeing a crash in the price of food and all of that. But the farmer, needs to be taken care of, because this fertilizer issue is a challenge. Access, not only access, but the pricing. Can government go further than what it has done? Are there plans to go further than what it has done?
Well, let me say that in Plateau, what we did is that the price of a bag of fertilizer is about 55,000, 54, 60,000.
Yes.
But our farmers had access to fertilizer at 23,000.
Wow.
Yes, so I think that's a fair way to start with. Mm-hmm. So I think for us, it's a good start with it. But I know that the sensitivity around the fertilizer access and all that has always been the challenge around it. But this measure that I just explained to you is the measure that the government was able to take to be able to make sure that the farmers have access to this fertilizer. Yes, we understand that there's a policy that is at the federal that brought in, and to say the least, though the food that we're seeing that crashed the price was actually imported. It's not as if it is the food that we have produced that is recycling at a lower price. So of course it's a national issue that needs attention to be able to look into it and then probably come up with a better way to give access to our farmers. But this is just one measure that we have been able to take to be able to look at the issues around fertilizer. Now, I want to talk about one other thing that we've been able to do in that agricultural sector. You also mentioned that the governor also was trying to test the farming of wheat on the plateau. Guess what? We're also going to be doing huge scale of barley on the plateau.
Wow.
Now, what this government was able to do is to do some the term is soil tissuing, kind of like a testing, test the soil, and to know what works better in which area, and then to be able to service those people with the right kind of fertilizers. For instance, what works in the southern zone may not necessarily work in the northern zone. So by that soil testing, that is why we just realized that in places like Langtangsa, where I come from now, and Shandam axis, barley grows very well there. So naturally, we now will have to encourage farmers around there to do a farm clustering around that area to get the support of government to be able to have the right fertilizer that works better with the crop that it's working for them. So barley is working for us in the southern zone. Wheat is now working in the central zone and some part of the northern zone. So it's a continuous process of improving on the yield. The whole idea is to get us to improve on the yield of what comes out at the end of the farming season. Exactly. And so it will boost our economy at the end of the day.
Okay. I want to take us back a little bit when you were talking about the economic rebirth. You know, there are a lot of women, fortunately, that have ventured into business, but recently there has been a lot of cry from the same women with regards to taxation and billing from government agencies. A lady was lamenting recently her shop was closed because of some kind of fee and things like that. I know you're not with the Plateau State Internal Revenue Service, but as the Commissioner for Information and Communication, we need to know the place of government with regards to these small businesses. Investors are coming in, yes, but how are the small businesses in the state thriving now? Because there's a lot of complaint. Multiple taxation, local government, the state governments, you know, all arms of government want to milk those little businesses. Now, somebody said in Lightermood, someone expanded his little clinic, and the next thing somebody said was government would come for you now that you have a big billboard, you know, and your place has now expanded. And so people, small scale people, SMEs are finding it very difficult to expand because they are afraid. With every expansion, it's like government wants to milk you dry, you know, and they seem to be confused with regards to the business terrain here on the plateau. Can you clarify?
Well, that it's a bit technical for me to deal with, but I would just say that taxation is one thing that we cannot run away from, because in all honesty, taxation is another, say, the right direction for us to be able to bring development, because you also have to take from there and then put it back into development. However, we do not encourage multiple taxation, and we also understand the dynamics around it too, when there's federal taxation, state, and then the local government. I recall in one interview I had, and somebody brought this complaint, and we said, okay, we will take it up so that we begin to harmonize. Let's harmonize the taxes and to be able to get it in a way that is flexible for people to do business. If we postpone this, it's like we're postponing evil days. But we must begin, we'll still get back to it, because this is where, and I'm sure even at the federal, I'm sure even you're beginning to pay more taxes than what you used to pay before now. So ground rents now, it's everywhere now. That's the way other developed countries are going to, because that's a way to be able to give back to the to development in the communities. Okay. But however, we do not want to take advantage of.
All right. I'm sure you have a lot to say, Honorable Commissioner. You have been speaking almost on every field. Well, we expect that, and that's to say. So we will talk some more. We'll take a break so that you can take your breath and talk some more. I know you have a lot to say. We'll take a break from now, and when we come back, viewer, we will discuss more on some other aspects, other areas of the governance in the state. Just stay with us.
We'll be back briefly, and just remember that you can also contribute to the Baroness.
Money one can give it to a man. You understand? So yeah.
I know it's all you got to just be strong.
Okay, the man does not manifest anything.
And it's a fight just to keep it together. I know you think that you are too far gone.
Thank you, comrade.
But hope is never lost.
Okay. Cameron, don't do that.
Hope is never lost.
We have another caller. That's all.
Consider that very
Hold on.
Money one can give it
Stay tuned to the Baroness on PRTV Jos every Tuesdays from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. and on repeats on Thursdays from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m.
One step.
The Baroness, changing lives a day at a time.
Welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is the Baroness, and we have been discussing 2 years of the stewardship of the present administration in the state, led by the time is now Captain, His Excellency Barrister Caleb Manasseh Mutfwang, Executive Governor of Plateau State. And who else, of course, we'll talk about, would capture all of this in one moment, except the Honorable Commissioner for Information and Communication in the studio here, Right Honorable Joyce Ramnap. And she's been doing a lot of justice to the topic. Before we went on break, she was trying to let us in on the survival of small-scale businesses in the state as against the issue of taxation, which we learned is necessary. It's necessary for survival, because government needs resources to provide the enabling environment. So if you have, is your little token of sharing, of giving back to the society. But she said something. They're doing something to ensure that you do not, it doesn't weigh too much on your businesses. I think we can relax on that assurance.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
But a lot of young people will still be agitated. They say the youth in any community is the future of that community. And there has been a lot of noise about youth restiveness. They don't have jobs, which is the recurring decimal. They cry every time. But recently I was made to understand that the government is doing something with regards to engaging the young people. Can you intimate us on that?
Yes, thank you very much. We actually have a couple of programs that we have been engaging our youths on. The most recent is the 250 youths that we empowered across the state and across different trades. We had some that were taught on computer applications, on how to use it to grow their businesses, to do graphics and designs, and they were given laptops. Some were given sewing machines, industrial sewing machines, and that will be able to make shoes, bags, and all of those textile designs and all of that. So they just completed the last batch just last week. And besides that, we have one very huge program. Like I told you, probably because our governor is from Mangu, I don't know, he's just into agriculture. All the way. So we also have an initiative that we took on the back farms, and we got about 1,000 of our youths that have been brought in again. These ones are being taught the processes of mechanized farming. Yes, and there are lots of related businesses along that, the value chain of farming and of agriculture. So while some are being taught how to farm, some are taught how to apply the machinery for farming, and some also on how to be able to function along the value chain. For instance, you could look at how to produce sacks or something. It's also a business, because even if you farm, you need the sacks and all of that. So there are about 1,000 of them, but for the first line of what we've been doing is to get 1,000 youths. Each person is given a hectare of land and given the support on how to cultivate the fertilizers, all the seedlings, everything that you need within a farming season, and they keep putting you through. They're actually accommodated. Do you know, they take roll call on them. They stay in there. It's like they're in the hostel there, okay? To ensure that they are disciplined and dedicated to what they're doing. They're taken off from their communities, and then they're put in that camp. So at the end of the farming season, when you cultivate, you should be able to take your proceeds, and then you should be able to cascade that knowledge that you have acquired in your own community. So you're not just learning, but you're also learning to teach other people as one of the measures to be able to assist our youth. And of course, you know, we're also not leaving the sports sector to chance. We are also investing hugely on that. Our performance has been outstanding in the just concluded National Sport Festival in Edo State, and the government also has invested in our Ramnap stadium.
Yes.
That place had almost, the state where it was, I'm sure. So now we're developing it to become a 12,000 capacity seater from what it used to be before. Now it was a 4,000, which is not very functional, but again, a lot of work is going on there. We are hopeful that we should, if not completed, be near completion by December as a timeline again, so that we're able to get more participation and activities around that. Then one of our investors, Chocolate City, I'm actually meeting with them later today. They also have an initiative that is also looking at how to engage our youth. They are trying to come up with, I'm sure you know Chocolate City,
Yes,
right?
of course I do.
Okay. Because they used to be those first
Exactly.
social sector that we used to have on the Plateau back in the 90s and all of that. So they're back. So they want to develop our own an innovative hub for us, for our young people, for the creative industry on the Plateau and the talents that we have on the Plateau. Now, we're trying to make a link between what we're doing at Chocolate City with us as a state government and link it with even Netflix. So if you have skill, for instance, you can sit on the Plateau here, they create a platform for you to also do your skill here or your talent here, and then they sell it to Netflix or sell it everywhere around the world, and then you earn the currency in dollars.
So young people don't have to run away, because quite a number of them are relocating to Abuja, Lagos, and other climes where they feel entertainment is sellable.
Now we have it. It's going to sell here on the Plateau. In fact, later today we're meeting to conclude that arrangement. We have signed an MOU with them, but we're just working on the steps that we need to take to be able to make that a reality in the nearest future.
That's interesting. So if you are watching us right now and you are a young person who is a creative, you don't have to go anywhere. Your aspirations of going to Lagos or relocating to Abuja, just keep that in the cooler and just hone your skills. Make sure that you are very good at what you do. Try to improve and get more knowledge. And before you know it, you will be able to sell your markets right here. You don't have to go anywhere at all. Viewer, you can be a part of this program by calling us on the number 081-2831-384. The number should be on our screen, 081-02-83-1384. You can call us, and when you do, let us know your name, where you're calling from, and your comment, your question, or your contribution to this discussion. We have the place of the vulnerable in the society. What is government doing with regards to the vulnerable in the society? Those that are physically challenged, those indigent women and children,
Incidentally, I started this conversation around the vulnerable because when you have people that are displaced, they're already vulnerable, they've lost their means of livelihood, they're already vulnerable. That was where I started this conversation around. Just some months back, I had a meeting they have an association, a very strong one for that matter, on the Plateau. And we had been discussing on the areas of collaboration and where we can also support them. However, I am so grateful to God that I also passed that bill. I sponsored that bill to law for the establishment of the commission that is standing on the Plateau today. Yes, Equal Opportunity Commission. Now, this is another commission that is now functional. And there's one particular effort that we're doing so much in dealing with that. Of recent, we've been having a large number of child trafficking and all of that. It's so much, it's so high now that our commission is doing so well by Barrister Olivia Darzem, who is heading that commission at the moment. They've been getting back a lot of our children and being able to bring them back home. I recall the most recent that we did, which the girl who was trafficked out, that promised opportunities, and she was taken to South Africa. Wow. She was taken to South Africa. She came back and with a child, and the government paid all the way from her coming from South Africa all the way back to Joyce here. So there's quite a lot in terms of being able to give back to take care of the safety of our people that are vulnerable, and to be able to engage them in governance. I know that this administration particularly insisted on making sure that for every appointment of, say, councillors, and there's a slot that we have set aside for people that are living with disability.
Oh, wow. That's quite interesting.
Yes.
I am interested in the educational sector. On the Plateau, yes, I know that we are vibrant and we are up and about. One thing we know about Plateau, that anywhere you go to it's home of institutions, from primary to tertiary. People love to go to school on the Plateau. But there's a trend, a worrisome trend, even though Plateau State government has issued, through the Ministry of Education, has issued a circular on that, on these unnecessary celebrations after graduations and the rest. But another aspect that is eating the parents is the relationship between schools and publishers. You discover that there is indiscriminate use, or rather of patronizing of publishers. Schools change books at will. Every session they would start a session with this set of books. The next time they are changing.
You have
for no particular
for one subject.
For no particular reason. And parents who have growing children, who would love that their children will use the books that their older ones have used, do not have these opportunities. Therefore, putting a lot of burden on parents to educate their children. These are some of the trends, apart from these unnecessary graduation ceremonies they introduce, nursery to primary celebration, primary to secondary celebration, secondary to, I mean, like, it's just getting too much. I know there's a statement that was issued, even though they didn't touch on the issue of books. But what effort? How are we sure that government will insist that these policies of government, these circulars passed, are, that they are adhered to, especially by private schools?
Well, thank you very much. I know that I have also had to be worried about some of those celebrations, if they were really necessary, and the pressure you put on parents. And it's not only putting pressure on the parents, but it's also beginning to define class differences between our children, which is not necessary. And I'm glad that as a state we have also taken measures to deal with that. I wouldn't want to say much about the implementation of this policy, but I also know that I just got a circular. Would I call that a circular or a letter from my daughter's school, and they said that they are in receipt of a circular from the state government instructing that they do not change books again. So these are the books. So if they are working with this book, they would be able to carry this book all through this learning session.
Sorry, and uniforms too. You find Monday, there's a uniform for Monday, the one for Tuesday.
Okay.
The one for, yes.
I think I've been lucky not to run into that kind of school.
Yes.
There's what do you call it? The sportwear.
Sportswear.
Class, if you are in the dormitory, you have a hostel wear, you have class. I mean, these are the basics. Class, dormitory, sports, isn't it?
Exactly.
But this one, there is the one for Tuesday, there's one for when it's like, I mean, my child is in that kind of school, so
Sadly.
Very sad that they have to come out in jeans and t-shirts, and on some days, some other days it is, some other schools, that day is personal wear. They will specify still. I mean, these are just, like you said, unnecessary, isn't it?
I'm just feeling sorry for the school, having to deal with a school for a mother who is in the media space, okay? So I honestly know that this is a challenge, but let me just say that, let me not speak much on that. One of my core duty as a Commissioner of Information is also to be able to get feedback from the communities or the citizens and then take it back to government. So in areas where I'm not grounded in, or I'm not able to give tentative answers like uniforms and all of that, I think that is something I can take back and discuss with the Ministry of Education. Let me give you an instance where feedback from the communities also would help us in governance. I recall that I was in one Hausa studio in Unity FM, and they asked me a question about why the metro buses are not they were complaining that government shut them out and did not give them access to metro buses. And so, because it was a feedback I got from there, I took it back, and at the end of it, I was equipped to educate them better, to say that we had a few challenges around that Bauchi Road access. First was that when the state government mounted their bus stops, they stole them away.
Oh, wow.
Yes, it was not possible for the buses wouldn't know where to stop. The passengers wouldn't know where to wait
for the buses.
For the buses. So it became difficult. So all the while that the bus would go on that route, there was no passenger. They didn't know. They took away the bus station stops. So that was a challenge that we also identified because of the feedback that was there. So and then the second thing is that they do a lot of their marketing activities on the road. So, and that bus is quite big. So it needs a bit of space to be able to navigate that area. And once the bus is going to stop, no car would be able to pass at the side, the road. So they have to clear all those traders along the road as one of the measures to take. So we resolved that, okay, for us to be able to function in that area, there has to be a town hall meeting that will bring all the stakeholders together, and they must be able to give their word that, okay, they will protect the facility that we will put on that road for the buses to be able to fly on that road again. So for us, feedback, to take feedback to the government, our government is a listening government. So again, everything that we take in, we get feedbacks from.
Recently, I noticed that street lights are being mounted not on the highway now, in areas, inside Anguas. I was at Rantia Access, and I was really in awe when I saw the place all nice and bright.
Talk about Shaka Access that can be very dark at night.
Exactly, and would like to know, how would you want the people now to take care of that? Because we have a reputation of not owning whatever government does. We just say government are doing their thing and we are here. So what is your call on Plateau people with regards to all this infrastructural developments that is happening around us?
When you brought this issue of the lights, I just remembered one that broke my heart when I saw it. All the roundabouts, we had flowers planted, shrubs around that place, and protected it with some, what do you call that, some netted wires to be able to protect it and just make that place green, beautiful, and colorful. Do you know that they're stealing those rails that we're putting round? Just be taking notes now. When you go now, you see some part will be without the rail, some other part of it, some curve will be with it, some will be without it. They're cutting it and they're selling it off.
What about putting surveillance? Is it possible?
Sure, surveillance is possible. Surveillance is very possible, but for crying out loud, this is just 2 years down the line and we're still on these issues. Okay, but my call is the call for everyone to take responsibility. I believe that a leadership is about responsibility. This responsibility is not just on the part of government, but on our people as well. Whether you are Miangwa, you are youth development chairman, you are a pastor, you are an imam, wherever you are functioning, it is incumbent on you to be able to make sure that our people do the right thing, and we must take responsibility. When we see people not doing the right thing, can we just be honorable enough to say, please, we don't need this. This is what we need to grow. Now you can see that we may have to spend again to get those things, to fix those things. So this is the street light, and the initiative is to light up Plateau, the Joyce Metropolis and Bukuru, of course. So if we can all be in this together to do it, it will be helpful for our people.
Hi, thank you so much, Right Honorable Joyce Ramnap, for making this day. You have really made us really, really proud. I'm sure what we didn't know before, we now know. And if you think that the government was just sitting down, just sitting by and just watching things, they are working round the clock. And so many things are working. She just mentioned, it's just 2 years.
We didn't even have time to talk about water. I made to understand that areas in Tudunwada and some other
Anita, there's no time. No time to talk about that.
But it is
one hour is
mentioned. Yes, just mention
everything.
Yeah, another time when we call, I'm sure, we hope, I will say, that your tight schedule will allow you come over again so we can talk about so many other things that this government is doing. And honestly speaking, please, you have heard it. You are responsible for whatever you see in your area that is being done by government. You are also government. You don't have to hold a position. You are government. And if you don't take care of it, you are the one at the losing end. They cannot continue to repeat these things over and over. Yes, Anita?
It is our responsibility as people on the plateau to join hands with the government so we can build a better plateau. Remember, together, we will go far. We should not look at anything beyond the progress of Plateau State. And I'm sure, I hope that we'll be able to put that in our minds and trickle it down, not just our communities, but our children as well. Let us protect everything that is ours, irrespective of who put it there. And especially if it's government, it is your responsibility to take care of it because it is there for your good.
All right, thank you very much. You out there that has stayed, watched us, thank you. And to all of you who made this program what it is today, thank you. Thank you once again, our guest.
Thank you.
You fill your mouth with words and words. You twist them well. Oh yes, I heard.